Hello, welcome to Patrice's Projects. I'm finally getting around to removing these green beans. It is like November 23rd or 24th, somewhere in there. And these are Kentucky Wonders, and when it started cooling off, they kicked back into gear even though they didn't have much to work with. And they gave me a handful of beans, so I kept them in. The dragon tongue beans, they just kept plugging along real slow. In fact, there's one little one left. There was also a Kentucky Wonder left. But they're done. And so it's time to remove them. When I'm removing the green beans, I used to pull them out, and before I found out that they're something called nitrogen fixers. And what that means is they pull nitrogen from the atmosphere into the plant, and then they store it in the root. So what they do is they form these little nodules on the roots, and they're full of nitrogen. So with your beans, peas, things like that, any lentil, what you do when you're removing them is you clip them off at ground level and leave the roots in the ground so that all that nitrogen stays in there for the next season, which will be spring. By then, the nitrogen should have dissipated into the soil by the time it's getting nice and warm and you're ready to plant again. If you leave it in a long time, like I pulled this one just now, and I don't see nodules on it, so I'm not sure if mine already took up the nitrogen because I left them in too long, or if there's still something in there, but I'm going to be on the safe side and leave the roots in. The other thing I was doing out here, what I was actually going to do, is harvest my eggplant that I let go too long. In fact, it's one I purposely left it there without the intent of harvesting because it had gotten some caterpillar damage. And it was at a good place to be able to let it overgrow. It wasn't in the way. It was on a good sturdy branch. So I let it do that so that I could harvest the seeds, and that's what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and cut that off, and then we'll harvest some seeds out of it. In the past, I've tried to grow the Black Beauty eggplant, and I was growing it from seed, and I was growing it from a particular pack of seed, and I was never able to get it to fruit. I gave my sister a plant last year from the same seed, and it didn't do well. So I purchased a plant this year over at the local hardware store, and it did pretty well. This one is the, what is it called? Ichiban. And you can see it had some damage on it, but for seed saving, this is going to be just fine. And it's nice and big, it's overgrown. That's what you want to do, is just let it sit on there until it's really no good for regular eating, but it's perfect for seed saving. It has been about a week and a half since I harvested this. I kept it in the house. I didn't put it in the refrigerator, but before, where it was hard, it's kind of soft now. And that's fine. It just means it's more ripe, so the seeds are going to be more viable. As long as it doesn't rot, I think we're okay. So let's go ahead and open this up, and then I'm going to show you how to save the seeds. What we're going to need is obviously your overripe fruit, a little cutting board. It doesn't need to be a great big cutting board. We're not going to slice it all up and dice it or anything like that. A couple of bowls, unless you're using the sink, then you need just one bowl. I am going to use a paper plate because seeds don't stick to this as easily as they do to paper towels, and some water. So, and a knife. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to cut the top off first, just like if you're going to prepare an eggplant. And this has a really cool curve. See, here's that bug damage, and it really is only going to be affecting the seeds right in the region of the damage. I'm going to try and cut it in half. And I cut it down the sides. The seeds are mostly going to be down in this area. So, like if you were going to harvest this a little bit overripe. You could have possibly saved this part of the fruit for eating, but I'm really not into eating overripe fruit, so I didn't do it. I didn't care. So I didn't cut all the way through because I didn't want to damage any more seeds than necessary. And the inside is gorgeous. Look at that. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and scrape out all of this seed area. Like I said, it's only in this region here. It's not even on the big ones, the fat ones. It's only going to be in the bottom region that you're going to have seeds. So this probably would have been a little easier had I not let it get a little bit soft, so it would have scraped easier. But I'm going to go ahead and scrape all of that out, just like that. Pull some out so I don't damage the seeds as much. And I absolutely do not need this many seeds. This is going to end up to be a lot of seeds. And I don't even need to do the other half unless I'm going to give them away, which is a possibility. I like to give seeds away. So maybe I will save them and give them to all of you to grow out, because you can see the seeds. Okay, let me try and get some of this gook out of there. The seeds are nice and mature. You can see that. So there's two ways of doing this. You can either use the fermentation method like I did in the tomato seed video, which I'll post right up there, and you would do that also with cucumbers, and that's to remove that gelatinous layer that surrounds the seed. It has an enzyme in it that stops the seed from germinating inside of the fruit. So what happens in nature is the fruit gets really ripe, maybe it begins to rot, falls to the ground, animals pick at it or whatever, but anyway, the seeds that remain on the ground, that gelatinous layer will naturally dry up and go away, and then the seeds can begin to sprout. But while they're encased in the fruit, they can't because of that layer. These don't have the gelatinous layer. So with these, I can just take the clean ones, put them right onto my paper plate. But you see, most of them are embedded in this kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is just pop this stuff into my bowl, except maybe the seeds that are already stuck to me. Okay, that has stuff all over it. Let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'll finish scraping this out later. And I think I will save the seeds to give away because this plant grew well, it produced nicely. Pretty sure it's an open pollinator. If it's not, I won't save the seeds for y'all, but pretty sure it is. And like I said, I think the variety is called Ichiban, and it's a Japanese type variety, and just really nice size and shape of fruit, not gigantic, so that you can add it to dishes, or if you're the only one that eats eggplant in the house like me, then, you know, one of them is a nice side dish. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add water. And the seeds, when you separate them from the pith, will naturally fall to the bottom of the bowl, as you can see in there. I used this blue bowl hoping you'd be able to see the seeds in the bottom. I'll bring you in closer after I squish the seeds off of this stuff. So let me get that done and I'll be right back. Okay, I got all the seeds. I picked out the bigger stuff as I was getting the seeds out of it. So it's pretty much like tomato seeds. The good stuff stays at the bottom and the non-viable will float. Given that you've removed the seeds well enough from the pith. And you're not going to get every single one of them, but you really don't need that many. Plants grow gigantic, or can. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly pour off the water, and the pith will pour out before the seeds. And I see some seeds are starting to want to go, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little more water, stir it up, and see if I can get more of that pith to come out. I'm going to go ahead and scrape this stuff out. Give it a nice swirl around. I'm going to let it settle before starting to pour. Some of that pith doesn't seem to want to let go. But that's okay, because you can actually just, you know, if it's bigger stuff, pick it out with your fingers. And it's not going to hurt the seeds any if there's some left on the plate when you put them onto the paper plate to dry. So it's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and pour more out. You can see the little pieces running out, and the seeds mostly stay in the bowl. I think that'll do it. What's left in there can just dry with it, and you won't really even notice much. So let me grab the little strainer thing. My strainer is extremely old, so I'm going to put water into this bowl one more time, and then I'm going to go ahead and strain it over this one. And this is just to get the seeds as dry as I can before putting them onto the plate. And this is only the seeds from half of the eggplant, so I'm going to have to do this one more time. I just wanted to get this done just to show how I'm going to be saving my seeds. And you can actually just take them up on your finger. This has a tiny hole at the bottom of it, so I'm concerned about really messing with this too much. You don't want to damage the seeds anyway, so I'm going to call that dry enough. I might as well just put those right onto the paper plate. Let's get this, wow, let's get this set aside. I'm trying not to make any more mess. Okay. And I have been putting seeds on here. That one is light cut. Well, not that one. There's one right here that looks immature. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. So, and spread them out as best you can. They're going to stick all over you, so it might get a little messy trying to spread them out. And I see an immature one right there. See, light colored compared to the others. I don't know if you can tell. This one right here. So I'm going to get rid of that one. The rest of these mostly look really nice. Another light colored one. So they should be good, viable seeds. And I'll look into the plant and make sure it is open pollinated. If it's a hybrid, you don't know what you're going to end up with something, but it may not be something you want to eat. So when they do crosses like that, you just don't know what you're going to get. So I'm pretty sure this is open pollinated, which means it will regrow the same thing as what it was. And these are also self-pollinators. So the chance of cross-pollination is slim, not to mention I only grew one eggplant. And I'm going to go ahead and let these dry for at least a week. I like to dry my seeds like tomato seeds and seeds this size basically for at least a week to 10 days before putting them in anything. A lot of people will dry them for a few days, put them into a Ziploc bag, but I am concerned about any moisture left in the seeds, and then they can mold, and then they're no good. So I like to use paper envelopes, just small, like the thank you letter envelope size. I like to use those. Or you can go online, I'm pretty sure, and find the, what is it called? Template for seed packets. So you could do that, but I've got a lot of envelopes, so that's what I use. And that is what I'm going to put these in about 10 days. I just realized that I never actually finished talking about the two ways of saving seeds. You know, one is the fermentation method, and the other is just the method that I had shown, where you just simply remove the seeds from the fruit, and using this method you use water to remove them. You don't have to worry about getting rid of any sort of layer on the seed, so you want to dry them as quickly as you can so that they don't want to start germinating. You could just pop them right out of all this pith, but the water does seem to help in removing it from the pith and your fingers, and removing the pith itself from, you know, the mess that you scrape out of the fruit. So anyway, I just wanted to add that since I forgot to finish what I was talking about. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you're not yet subscribed, I'd appreciate you doing that, and then clicking the bell button for notifications of upcoming videos. I don't post real frequently, but when I do, I hope it's something meaningful. And I try and teach you something, but I also want to get to know my viewers. So any comments you want to leave down in the comments down below, as long as they're somewhat nice, I'd appreciate that. And if you're one of those that wants a video where it's a how-to video and it's just, you know, this is how to do it, cut and dry, no rambling, I'm probably not for you. I like to talk and get to know you, like I said. So anyway, again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.